All right, welcome to the video. Thanks for watching. My name is Kurt, and I want to talk about the TRT and the situation here for a lot of people. So if you are a male and you're in your 40s like myself, you are probably looking at people, especially if you're ambitious and entrepreneurial, you are looking at these high performers, people like Alex Hormozi, Alex Becker, for example. Like some of these guys, you can clearly tell they're jacked, but they're also like on TRT or they're taking steroids. And there's a lot of information out there about taking TRT. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of success, but it's not all glory. Like there is long-term effects, and there's definitely cases where you see people that have really struggled with this. And so this video is really about watching this before you take TRT, because there are many people who claim it's amazing. There's also many people who don't claim it's amazing, or there are some terrible side effects for going on it if you don't know what you're doing. So this video is really just kind of a disclaimer. There's a lot of things you can do before you consider it seriously or even try it that I would recommend that you look into. And I'm gonna give you literally the top 5. Now, I'm 41 and a half. I'm gonna be, the last labs I did, I was at over a 900 on my TRT. You can check my channel. I've done my labs and blood work plenty of times, well over 900. And I am getting labs done again very soon. So there's a lot of information here, but basically what I wanna say is I am fit, I am strong as I've ever been, low body fat, very fit. And I'm gonna give you my feedback as a person who's completely natural, never taken any peptides, never taken any hormones, never taken any injections of any kind, just on optimizing yourself and what you should do through the protocol. So I'm looking at my notes a little bit on the side here, but let's go into this and dive into it deeper. So first of all, you should 100% consider TRT if maybe you test really low. So if you have tested your labs and you are also experiencing symptoms of low testosterone, those are strong indicators. If you feel like you're great and you're optimal, maybe you're not like a heroic, you don't wake up and you can just conquer everything a million miles an hour like some of these people, but for the most part, you're getting through your day and you're crushing, you're probably doing well, especially if you have libido in the morning, if you have it at night, if you don't have any problems getting it up, and you are also very like fit, you're recovering, normal recovery. At 40 years old, if I go heavy lift for 90 minutes and I just, do lots of volume, I am pretty much rebounding within about 12 to 24 hours. Like I'll be sore, I can't go re-hit that muscle group at the same time, but I'm trained, my body is adjusted. So that when you combine good nutrition, good sleep, good regimen, clean eating, you can really recover pretty quickly and your hormones can be really well optimized. So you don't need to believe that you have to take these injections to get the optimal. And the problem with going on injections is that it's like kind of like being an addict. Once you're on them, your balls die. You may have a high probability of infertility, not a high probability, but there is a probability. There's a risk. You are now traveling with injectable needles and you are basically resigned to inject yourself twice a week minimum, probably for the rest of your life to survive and optimize your hormones. So am I saying that's bad? Not necessarily if you're deficient, but it's something to consider because you are signing up for something that you may not need, that you may not really get the marginal benefit versus the pain in the ass, literally, of injecting yourself in your ass, having to travel with needles, bringing that shit on airplanes, bringing that shit to other countries and having to sit there, dealing with that, making sure you have testosterone, signing up for the monthly fee, all of that, if you don't take the levers and the basic things. So what you should do first is you should do your labs, figure out where your level is, and figure out if you have symptoms. Ask ChatGPT 5. Like go on there, do some deep diving, compare the responses there and your lab levels with Grok 4. Look at these AI models, these large learning language models, and figure out what they say, what the advice is. Just get a general sense of where you stand with your labs. Now, here's a nuance with your labs. Do them fasted, do them after you've given yourself optimal recovery for at least 72 hours. So I would recommend try to get good sleep at least 2 nights before you do labs. Then pull your labs probably at 9 or 10 in the morning, not earlier, because your testosterone will peak. You wanna kind of find that baseline and you wanna do that at the same time. So as you kind of optimize these things, you get similar tests of your labs. So pulling testosterone at 10 a.m. is kind of a sweet spot for me. It doesn't give me the best, but it doesn't give me a super low. If you pull it at 4 or 5 p.m., it's gonna be a lot lower than if you pull it at 7 or 8 in the morning. If you pull it at 7 or 8 in the morning, it's gonna be higher than if you pull it at 10. That's why you wake up with morning wood. That's why you should feel the most like optimized and ready to go with the highest willpower in the morning, because your testosterone naturally should peak and decline. You don't wanna be going to bed with like insane levels of testosterone. You probably won't even sleep. You'll just be wide awake. So there's a value to a range, and you also want to value your balls, and you don't want to necessarily go into injections. So the first thing you need to do is get labs done. You can go to Quest Diagnostics, you can go to LabCorp. A lot of these TRT clinics will work with you on labs at a discounted rate out of pocket. Most health insurance, probably not gonna do a whole lot. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. They're kind of worthless when it comes to anything up to my deductible, so I'm paying out of pocket, but it is a HSA, high deductible healthcare plan, so I get to use pre-tax HSA dollars to pay for this kind of stuff. And then I work with third-party clinics, and I try to find these doctors who sell peptides or TRT, and they usually have negotiated discounted rates with companies like LabCorp, Quest Diagnostics, probably about 60% the cost of what you would pay if you did before. I'm gonna make a whole other video on that just to give you a hack, but this video is about what you should do, right? You should not jump into TRT. Keep in mind, these doctors that run these clinics, a lot of them are incentivized to sell you TRT. If you, as a business person, are incentivized and you make your money and you're living and you survive on whether or not you sell someone, and if someone walks through your door and you don't sell them a product, you're gonna wanna sell. You're gonna have a bias towards that. And if you personally have a bias towards it, great. That's nothing wrong with that. TRT can be great for a lot of people, but you gotta be very careful with what you're getting and injecting in your body. So that's number one thing I wanted to write through. So when you get your labs done, make sure you test your total testosterone, your DHT, and your free T in particular. Those kind of three variables you need to know. DHT is a really powerful form of testosterone. I know people talk about it with hair loss. Trust me, you do not want to reduce your DHT levels. Get off the oral finasteride. It is not worth it. It will slowly degrade you and destroy your sex drive as a man. I stopped taking DHT and made over $1 million the first year of my life when I stopped taking it after 6 months. I'm telling you, your drive will come from optimizing your DHT. Go get a hair transplant. It's easy to fix your hair. Don't worry about that right now. The results, the girls, all the stuff you want from having hair will be amplified by the level of your drive and how effective you are in life and how much more masculine you become by having optimal DHT. So I'm telling you right now, do not mess with your DHT levels. I made that mistake. I don't recommend it. The next thing I'm gonna say is go and get your free T, your DHT, your total T. Total T is super arbitrary. It's a reference range. Some people operate really effectively at like 900 or 1,000. Some people are down at like 300, ironically. Like the reference range ranges from like 250 to 1100 or 1200, and everyone kind of says, hey, be up in like this 1200 to 1500 physiological level. It really depends. Like Dr. Sean Baker, a huge jacked carnivore doctor guy, he doesn't even, I think his T is like 300 and he's just jacked. Alex Hormozi says his T is like less than 400. On multiple podcast incidents, he talked about how his testosterone is below that and he's on TRT. Clearly, your body has a response to the level and your sensitivity to testosterone and all the different variables and the derivatives of your testosterone, your free, your total, your DHT, all of that affects how you respond. And even for me, like if I get really into lifting, I'll have really jacked traps. Like my traps will like kind of puff up, and I'll also build more definition in my shoulders, depending on where I'm lifting, what kind of body parts I'm working on. But you definitely notice like the testosterone build up in certain areas. So it's very tissue specific, and your body has anabolic receptors that you get. Your body is very receptive. Some bodies are more sensitive than others. That's why you can't go online and purely look at the numbers. You have to compare them to your symptoms and then the ratios and look at that. And we'll get into the nuances of this down the line, but this video is about the general stuff you can do, getting your blood work done, getting the baseline, getting a general analysis, asking about the symptoms. That's where you're at. There's 6 things you can do that are just obvious, simple, powerful, low-hanging fruit things. Everyone can do them. Some people have better advantages than others, but I'm gonna give you these 6 things. I've been able to naturally raise my testosterone. I had labs where it came in under 400, and by making these lifestyle changes, I rose it by more than double. I took it to over 900, and now I feel very confident that I'm consistently in a high range, hitting my targets, feeling really, really good, and I'm getting older. I'm in my 40s. So let me tell you what the first thing is, and it's probably pretty obvious to many people, but get good sleep. And it's not just about sleeping well, it's about optimizing your sleep. So when you optimize your sleep, you're gonna get deeper. You're probably gonna get a little more groggy in the morning. That's you know, if I'm being honest with you, like some of the things I think about, like if I go to Vegas and I'm on a bender for a conference or something, you're not going into deep restorative sleep as much. You're just getting rest, if you will. And I'm talking about make that room, that bedroom, cold, dark. Take some magnesium when you fall asleep, like really drop in. So when you wake up, you're like, where the heck am I? What just happened? You know what I mean? Like eyes shut, you go into like oblivion. You don't even remember your dream, like the moment you wake up. Like, try to get to that level, because that gets that deep hormonal, really deep level of sleep that gets your physical recovery, and your majority of your testosterone production is in that level. Now, I know a lot of people watching this video probably have kids, they have a lot of stuff. Most people can make an incremental improvement that's pretty significant in some of these arenas. Darken your room, get a fan if you don't have an air conditioner, get a inverter AC unit, a temporary one to kind of cool that room, sleep with earplugs, consider investing in something like an EMF Faraday cage to reduce the Wi-Fi, reduce the electronics around you. These are all just kind of low-hanging fruit things. Other big sleep thing is just don't eat that much before you go to bed. Number 2, remove alcohol. Okay, look, I enjoy drinking. I'm gonna drink tonight. I'm with family, I'm at a party. I'm gonna be enjoying and indulging. But get the pre-drink stuff. They have all kinds of pre-party things. They help support your recovery. Realize you're gonna suffer when you do drink, but if you can remove alcohol or reduce it and shift to the clearer alcohols like tequila in particular, and you can try to not drink all the way up to when you sleep, and definitely get rid of like beer, which is estrogenic, which is gonna really just make you turn into a woman, then you're gonna be like a lot better off. I know people think beer is this masculine thing. It ain't. It's really messing up your hormones. You don't want to be drinking beer. It's garbage. It's horrible for you. I mean, it's better just to drink the liquor. And if you're gonna drink the liquor, get the clean shit, get the clear stuff, and then go with tequila if you can, because tequila is probably the best for your liver, for the acetaldehyde conversion rate, and how impactful it is. Most of what alcohol is doing is messing up your sleep, which is where you're producing the majority of your testosterone. So in this context, if you want to drink, drink in the morning. Drink when you wake up. That way your body has time to process it all by the time you hit the bed that evening, and then you can still have somewhat optimal testosterone production. But in general, if you want to get even better optimized, I think you're gonna find, especially as you optimize your testosterone, your fear of social anxiety goes down. So it's this conundrum where a lot of people just have that social anxiety. They feel socially acceptable if they drink, but at the same time, you don't want to drink because it's just like, it's not the greatest thing, right? Because you're now in this situation where your testosterone is lower, so you don't have the hormonal oomph and gusto to face these social scenarios, but at the same time, you are in this trap. So anyways, that's my pitch on alcohol. I would say drink it in moderation, use pre-drink, and choose to drink when you want to, and try to do electrolytes and water before you go to bed on the nights you do drink, so you don't come up dehydrated and you ideally have a decent amount of sleep. All right, here's a really big one. Exercising and lifting weights is going to maximize your testosterone levels like nobody's business. Like, if you can start lifting heavy weights, you are gonna start feeling the impacts of having better testosterone relatively fast. And that first month is probably gonna be pretty rough. I've been lifting for 20 years now. Much more seriously, probably in the last 10 years. And what I've found is that the heavier I lift, again, lift with responsibility. Don't be going up under the barbell trying to squat like 1,000 pounds here and break your freaking spine, but like, lift intelligently, put yourself behind machines with heavy weight, incrementally adjust it. The machines usually have a pretty controlled, safe approach so you don't hurt yourself. And then when you feel like you've got a strong base, work your way into free weights, work your way into the barbells, into the dumbbells, and see how much more muscle you build and how much more strength you do. Personally, I like to be in the gym about twice a week for 90 minutes on like an upper protocol, so chest and back, kind of splitting the sets there. And I try to work in, bench press with the barbell. I try to do incline bench press with the barbell flat. I try to do a chest press with the machine. I try to do a lot of pulls. I'll do back pulls and I carry in. I'll get on the machine. I'll do like a bent over row if I don't have any machines to work with. These work huge muscle groups. The same thing with your legs. I typically train at home with my legs and my lower body. I've got a dumbbell select tech kind of setup where I can get up to 90-pound dumbbells, and I've got a little Reebok bench that's foldable that I store in my closet. So between that and then my X3 bar for deadlifts, I get a lot of leg work and I can do it at home. The reason I do that is for time and also consistency. I have kind of like a 3-day split. So I do chest and back, then I do arms and knees over toes. So I really train like biceps and triceps, and then I do like the knees over toes protocol for ATG. And then I have a sort of like a glutes and hamstrings deadlift kind of thing where I do the X3 bar training and a slant board squat training while I'm training my shoulders. And then I go to a cardio day and then I rinse and repeat. So if you want more about the protocol, comment below and I'll consider making a specific video on my splits. But that's what I like to do. Number 4 is fixing your diet. If you want your testosterone to be optimized, get rid of estrogen in your food and seed oils. Really just focus on saturated fats, red meat. Your doctor's gonna kill me because you're gonna have higher cholesterol, but I can tell you right now, I've lived with high cholesterol for a decade now. I first started seeing high levels in my blood labs when I was 30, 10 years ago, and I was freaking out because everyone and their mom was talking about how saturated fat is gonna kill me, and I have heart disease in my family. I don't have heart disease in my genetics. My uncles were insanely overweight and they smoked and they ate late and they didn't exercise at all. So the doctors that are complaining about cholesterol, go search up lipid hypothesis, look at Dave Feldman, look at all that stuff. There is so much depth in the science. Cholesterol is naturally made in your brain. Do you really think it's toxic to you? It's not toxic. It's what it does is it clogs you up when you're dealing with chronic inflammation. So don't chronically inflame your body. Get rid of these seed oils, these processed fucking garbage, and all the estrogenic stuff from soybean oil. It's in mayonnaise, it's in dressing, salad dressings, it's in sauces. You've got to look at the label and stop eating that crap. It's not good for you. It's gonna mess you up. Chicken is fed soy. If you're eating chicken consistently heavily, you're suppressing your testosterone. This is all the stuff. Plastics, microplastics leach into your water. So drink out of stainless steel or glass. Try to minimize your plastic intake. That is your diet, what's coming into your body. It's affecting your testosterone levels. You have to optimize these. Don't be swimming in a sea of ingesting all this crap that just plugs up your receptors. What it's really doing is, in the science, if you look at it, these food compounds are latching onto the receptor molecules that allow the hormone to signal to your muscles in your body and your overall response, and it's plugging that up when you consume a diet that's not checked and full of estrogen and microplastics. It's like your testosterone hormone, when it's produced properly in your body, is actually sort of like a key floating around in your bloodstream. And the free testosterone that's released from the SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, that locks in. It goes into the lock of your androgen receptors in your muscle tissue, in your recovery, in your brain, in your body, where you respond in an optimal way from testosterone. When you're consuming all this estrogen, that's plugging the lock. It's like someone else is putting a key in that lock that doesn't do shit. And you're basically, all your testosterone is it's being rendered useless and ineffective. So that's the problem with diets that are dirty and that don't have these optimized things. Now, a couple other things, and I'm gonna wrap this up. Let's go with sunshine. Sunshine's a precursor for vitamin D. You can consume it dietarily and supplement, but it's going to boost your hormones across the board. It is more than just a vitamin. It is the building block of your hormones. If you want to learn more about vitamin D, I'm pretty sure I have a video from a long time ago. We'll link the end card. You can go into sunshine and the benefits in the actual science of calciferol, the derivative of vitamin D. It allows you to process calcium, and you are screwed if you have deficiencies in that. In fact, we saw this in the COVID-19 pandemic. A ton of people with comorbidities, people who had multiple conditions with vitamin D deficiency died. Like, you were just screwed if you didn't have vitamin D in your body. And a lot of people of color, we're talking Latinos, African Americans, people, Indians, darker people, darker complexion, need more sun. And because they need more sun and they're all working and they're living in the modern world and they don't have exposure to vitamin D in the sunshine, because you need more sun when your skin is darker, because your ancestors were used to being out in the sunshine a lot more, you actually have a bigger deficiency, and you saw a lot of those people die more because of that. So vitamin D, huge. You need it for hormones, for your immune system. It's big. Optimize that. If you can't get sun where you live, which is basically anyone above the 37th parallel, think north of San Francisco, for about half the year, you're not getting vitamin D. You are going to have to supplement it. But On top of that, you should measure it in your labs. Check your labs, see if you have it. This video is dropping in late August, early September, so it is summertime, it's peak. You should be getting good sunshine. I mean, June 20th range is really summer solstice. That's the highest point where we get the most amount of UVB light for vitamin D on your skin. But I'm telling you, go out in the sun, cover your face, cover your neck, your hands, and then just let your chest, your back, your arms get the vitamin D. The UV light is amazing for your skin. You're gonna love it. Optimize your minerals. We don't have the same soil content we had. So when you think about it, back in the day, 50,000 years ago, before we started doing agriculture and monocropping, growing the same plants in the same soil with no animals going over it, the manure, the minerals, it just depleted the soil. That's why you see all these mineral contents in our food deficiency, right? You don't get the same magnesium, B12 shit from the plants that you used to because all of the animals that would poop and pee on the land aren't grazing that land. Whereas before, traditionally, you had it. And I get it. We need to farm at an industrial level to feed 8 billion people. It's necessary. But the main point is the big minerals you're missing, magnesium and boron, these are building blocks for your testosterone. You need them. Your body cannot optimize and it cannot optimize the derivatives, the DHT and the free testosterone, which ultimately most TRT doctors would probably argue is what optimizes you, is what you want to think about. So keep that in mind as well. And then the last thing I want to mention is saturated fat. Now look, here's the nuance with saturated fat. It is a precursor and will boost your testosterone. If you are pre-diabetic or you are diabetic or you are someone who has metabolic dysfunction, meaning your fasted insulin, your fasted blood sugar, and your HSCRP and your F2 isoprostane and your inflammation markers, right? Those markers are off the reference range, meaning you have chronic inflammation, you have problems with your ability to process sugar. You probably need to be checking that out first before you focus on your testosterone. That's just my straight up answer to you. So think about fixing those things. We can talk about those if you comment below and really want me to get into the nitty gritty of that. But that's really what it comes down to. You've got to fix that shit, and then you can start taking a lot of saturated fat in your diet because the cholesterol levels in your diet are no longer problematic. Now, if you have all of that and you're taking in a lot of cholesterol, you're gonna have problems because cholesterol is gonna bind to the endothelial hairs in your arteries and build up as plaque. You are going to start seeing calcification in your arteries and clogging because you are constantly bombarding your arteries with inflammation. Stop eating garbage. Be a human being. Be going to the natural diet. Start eating 4 ingredients a day, not 500. That's on you. You as a person, if you really care about your life, you need to get your shit together and stop eating this garbage. And wean yourself off, but be freaking, really start to visualize the reward versus this instant gratification and shift your mindset because that's really what it comes down to. I eat coffee, water, and my coffee is I put butter in it, just grass-fed butter, and then I eat steak and organic Japanese sweet potatoes. And that's basically all I eat 24/7. So I add fruit. I'll have organic dates. I'll have organic strawberries. I'll have blueberries. I'll have, occasionally I'll have pickles, cucumbers, some cheeses, things like that. My ingredient list is 5 things, guys. I don't eat a lot of processed stuff. I make gummy products for my businesses. So I do have some organic sugar and organic tapioca syrup, but we're talking 3-4 gram gummies. This is not a lot, 3-4 calories of sugar. I do honey. I think honey is totally fine in moderation, but the sweet potatoes allow me to build muscle anyway, so I've got to have that. So this is the end of my rant. If you enjoyed the video, I hope it was informative. Let me know where to go. I've got lots of threads on this video, but the bottom line is I didn't want you to jump into taking injections for life. You don't necessarily need to do that. You have a lot of room to cover in your life. There's even some oral peptides that are really interesting to me. GK677, for example, can boost growth hormone. If you're, just feeling really sluggish, you need somewhere to jumpstart. There's a lot of stuff we need to talk about. So anyways, thanks for staying this long. If you made it this long, freaking thank you so much. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's talk more about this topic. There's a lot to optimize as we get older, and I wanna be here on the journey and sharing with you all. So let me know how I can dig further. And if you have any questions, drop a like, comment below, share with someone who needs help understanding how this is all connected, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot.